Hello and namaskar. Welcome, dear friends, to day 4 on Unleashing Presence. We build upon what we covered yesterday, unlearning meditation to settle, to rest in who we are as unborn awareness. And today we will look into this awareness more deeply to unleash this recognition of our innate awareness, innate knowing, that we might recognize from moment to moment and in the midst of our everyday lives the meditative presence that we are. In unleashing presence, we are actually moving in a direction that often rubs up against the world. The world tells us that we are nothing unless we achieve a name, a credential, unless we acquire merit of one kind or another. The world tells us we are worthless if we do not show any evidence of achievement, that we are not valuable if we do not do something that makes us meritorious. And when we come into spiritual practice, often we might hear messages like, let's do more and more good deeds, so we acquire more and more merit in order that we can become more and more virtuous, so as to become more and more, you get the drift. And as we are more and more meritorious, we get closer and closer to enlightenment, to perfection. And hidden within these assumptions are deeper presuppositions, hidden beliefs about our self-worth, about our innate value. That somehow, without all these accoutrements, without all these embellishments, we are nothing. And inadvertently, when we internalize such messages, whether from the secular world or the religious world, we might end up feeling a sense of worthlessness, inadequacy, insufficiency. That unless we achieve this or that, unless we make progress in this or that, we are somehow of little value in life. Here, I am about to burst that delusion. And what I'm saying here is that meditation is not what you do or achieve, but is who you are. And therefore, who you are is intrinsically worthy, worthwhile, of value enough. Not because of what you do or do not do, but in and of yourself. Why? Because each and every one of us is created in the image of God. Imago Dei in Latin. Because we are created to reflect God's nature and character, we have intrinsic worth and dignity. Otherwise, if we were to believe the deception, the lie that our worth is in what we own, our worth is in what we achieve, our worth is in what we get in this life, in this world, then what happens when we fall sick and are not able to do anything? What happens when we are disabled and not able to move around and do all sorts of things that others do? We panic. we feel as if we are useless. We feel as if we are worthless. We feel as if life has no more meaning. Because our worth is all tied up in what we own, what we achieve, what we do, what we get, what we possess. Then conversely, if we are disabled or we are sick or we are frail or we are dying and we can't do all these things, we can't achieve all these things, then we are worthless. Is that it? Is that how we want to live our lives? I ask you, dear friends. It is time to wake up from this lie. It is time to critique this mass hypnosis that we have bought into. This mass marketing culture is not helpful for our sanity and our peace. Rest by returning to your true nature, aware, alert, awake, fresh, present. You don't have to achieve this. You don't have to acquire this. You are naturally that. You have been created to image the divine. Yes, we are not perfect because even though we are created to image the divine, we fail to do so perfectly. We can say there's a certain fallenness, a certain brokenness to this. We fall short of the glory of God. That's true. But we do not arrive at the glory of God by trying to achieve it using our fallen self effort. It's not possible. But what is possible is for us to recognize that our worth and our dignity is a given. Prior to all that the world tells us, prior to all our fantasies and ideas and expectations of what is success, what is value, we are already worthwhile. We already have intrinsic dignity given by God. So on that basis, let us move in the direction of this open, natural presence that we are. By inquiring, by returning and resting, and also by releasing and dissolving the barriers to this presence. And one important barrier, one significant and often very challenging barrier is our shadow. And what I mean by that, elements of ourselves that we have repressed and pushed beneath the threshold of our consciousness. There might be some aspects of ourselves that we hate and dislike. Maybe we did something wrong, or we did something not quite right, or we were not quite successful in doing this or that. Our failures, our inadequacies, our lack of perfections, and so on, our mistakes. These aspects of our lives, of ourselves, we can't bear to face them. And instead of acknowledging them and accepting the fact that they happened, we subconsciously repress them, we push them under. We push these aspects of ourselves that we hate and dislike. And over time, they build into this quasi-entity within us that we might call the shadow, the unconscious shadow, repressed parts of ourselves. And we can sense this shadow when we are in the midst of our everyday lives and some of our buttons are being pushed. Some chips on our shoulders gets activated and we get reactive. without any apparent reason. So when the shadow is in us, what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body, I like that word. It's like an energy field within us that almost has a life of its own. It can churn up all kinds of afflictions, thoughts, and feelings that cloud us, that veil us from our true nature of pure awareness. And our awareness, instead of being able to rest there, we are constantly lost in narrative and stories, plots and dramas, concocted by all this content of consciousness, energized by the repressed field of our shadow. So let us not be afraid, but rather learn to shine the light of consciousness onto what is repressed, what is hidden, our shadow, and also shine the light of awareness on everything that's happening from moment to moment, the dynamic motion of the mind. And in so being, unleash presence in our lives, recognizing clear, unborn, wakeful awareness, the experiencing element in every experience, resting there and letting our personal history just unfold in that open space, that open clearing of awareness without any obstruction. So, dear friends, let us now enter into some meditation as I guide you through unleashing presence. Sit quietly, uprightly, in a relaxed way. Feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart, hands on your lap, eyes closed. Allowing the body to settle, allowing the mind to do whatever it likes, not forcing it this or that way, but just having this perspective of openness and allowing the body to be as it is, allowing the mind to be as it is, allowing your speech to be as it is. In this case, speech is silenced. You rest in this flow of silence. You rest in this flow of groundedness. You rest in this flow of aware openness. When thoughts come, simply notice them floating by. Awareness retraces its steps away from the objects of consciousness back into the very ground and source of consciousness. And awareness as an object, we can call it attention, as in attending to something. When attention divests itself of its object, it releases and returns into being pure, amorphous awareness, objectless awareness. Attention on an object is like frozen piece of ice. Awareness floating freely is like the clear melted water. Be like the water. Without trying to push the ice away, but just allowing the ice, the frozen thoughts, emotions, images, memories, expectations, just allowing them to be there and allowing them to melt on their own as you remain quietly, restfully as the water of awareness. Now, within this water of awareness, you might have a whirlpool of emotion, tied up with a certain memory of the past. It could be a memory of your own failings, your own imperfections, something that you failed to achieve, something that you did not get, something that you could not do or could not do perfectly. Perhaps it's a memory that you feel ashamed of, or remorseful or guilty about. Call to mind power of forgiveness, forgiving oneself, and receiving the forgiveness of God, turning to Him, trusting in Him, leaning on Him as the Lord of your life. Call to mind compassion, compassion for yourself, and the compassion of God. Like the sun shines lovingly, mercifully, graciously on all of us, without exception. Just like the sun shines on the good and bad, rich and poor, without discrimination. The compassion of God shines on us, all without discrimination. Open to that compassion, receive His compassion. Humble ourselves before Him and let Him be our guardian and our refuge. Resting the heart in that way, go deeper into this open presence of awareness. The whirlpool might still be there, hidden from view. The whirlpool of the shadow, repressed aspects of your failings and your failures and your shame. Maybe the residues of that remain. Continue to shine the luminosity of open presence of awareness onto this. And again, releasing, surrendering to the forgiving, compassionate grace of God. And see how this repressed side of you becomes slowly unveiled, slowly illuminated by the sunlight of awareness, and become more and more porous, permeable, transparent, until it finally melts, dissolves into the ocean of free-flowing awareness. Be free as you are right now, unleashing presence right now into your everyday experience. As you finish up this meditation, breathe and smile, smiling to your heart, smiling to yourself, smiling to the world, for you are the world. Finish up this meditation and open your eyes. Well done. Thank you, dear friends. We've completed day 4, Unleashing Presence. I look forward to joining you again on the next few days, where we will explore a few other aspects of being boundless, and then finally integrating all that we have learned on day 7. Meanwhile, be well and happy, be peaceful in the presence of your presence. Namaskar.